So the first person that I ever lost was my grandfather back in 2011. He passed away due to cancer. Long story short, he had cancer, got diagnosed with it. He was already very weak. He was in and out of hospital, had to get taken at full time at home. I don't know how my grandmother was able to do that with her job, but yeah, I can imagine it, being very stressful. She had been married to him for, man, like 40, 50 years or something. No, maybe 30, 35. Because I think when he had passed away, he wasn't very old. I think he was only in the, hmm, 50s, 55s. Because my grandmother is 66, 67 now. So this is 10 plus years ago. So yeah, I think he was around 55, 57. Very young. I don't really have many memories about him, but only thing I do remember is whenever I visited them, because they lived in, the UK, in England. They lived in a place called Holbeach. Never mentioned it to you guys, but they lived in this house, and I still to this day remember what that house looks like. Super small house, yet a very cozy, very nice neighborhood. Now I don't know if that neighborhood is still the same as it was 10 years ago, but at the time, when he was still alive, this was before cancer. When we would come visit them, he was always watching Manchester United. And that's where my love for the club came from my grandfather. Because before he passed away, I never had interest in football. I was still a kid, but yeah, he passed away at the time. And I thought all this time, oh, it was smoking that caused him, right? Well, it was actually a combination. He used to work in the coal mines back in the 50s, 60s, 60s, 70s. I gotta remember he was only like 55, 60 when he passed away. Gotta not to go too crazy back in time. But yeah, he died because of those combination. And since then, well, you know what it is. You get to live with what it is. It sucks, obviously, because, like I said before he passed away, we're going to visit him because we know, he had cancer for a few months, and he only had like a few months to live, but that was shorter than expected. And my dad was actually picking up his brand new bike that exact same day when my mom got the phone call. And the next day we went onto the plane and went to the UK. Now, the second person I've lost was in 2012. So yeah, I lost two people in the span of a year and a half. His name was Stefan. I've mentioned this a few times before. And pretty much, long story short, he passed away due to an unfortunate incident that occurred whilst he was on his bike. I never mentioned this, but he used to have a Ducati, and his brother as well. They used to be crazy bike fanatics. They still do. One of the friends of him also has like a Ducati. Yeah, the whole group loves bikes. So pretty much happened is, you see, that's the thing. None of us know really what happened, but we suspect that he went too fast in the bend and lost control, slipped on a wheel, and pretty much crashed against like a random pole in the middle of a field, and broke his neck on impact. Pretty much. Yeah, the one time that he needed the protection, he got his neck broken. And fortunately, as messed up as it sounds, but this is me being honest, fortunately he died on impact, meaning that he wasn't suffering. He was, gone in the first place. And I know it's a very harsh thing to say, but I'd rather just have him be at peace in a second rather than being in pain and agony for days, weeks, months. I think that's actually even worse than, being dead at that point if you're immobile, can't move your neck. But yeah, we don't know really what happened. We just know his brother was driving, looked behind him, couldn't see his brother, so he turned back, drove back, and there he was laying in the field. Dead on impact, like I said. Non-responsive, so yeah. It's been a long time. And then the third person I had ever lost, believe it or not, I never mentioned this, I think, but I actually had another grandfather, but he used to live in, he lived in Stoke-on-Trent. He was old. I think it was 85, 90 years, something like that. This was my first time ever seeing him, but it was like a 3-hour drive to Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah, shitty long drive, honestly. Met him, talked a little bit. Bear in mind, this was, I think, in 2013, 2014, so almost a decade ago, pretty much. I was like 12, 13. And yeah, he passed away a few weeks after we had visited him. Kind of crazy. And then that's pretty much all the people I've lost in my life. Oh, no, what am I saying? Oppa Hans as well. Oppa Hans also passed away in 2012. Yeah, so Oppa Hans is a very interesting story. The things with our family, they all live in foreign countries. So pretty much we were not often able to see them, our family. For instance, I haven't been to the UK in 7 years or something like that, so it's definitely been a while. I would love to visit eventually again. Opa Hans passed away in 2011, 2012, around that time. He had Alzheimer. And when I visited my granny like not too long ago, I was in South Africa. There was this one gate. There was this gate in the middle of the house. And I'd question her and I asked, why is there a gate in the middle of the hallway? What's up with that? Is that to like defend yourself against burglars? And then she told me the story. No, this one time he walked out the house because he would often, because of Alzheimer, you don't remember. So he would sometimes get aggressive towards her, because he didn't remember, he doesn't know who he is. So he would often say, "Where's my wife?" when his wife was like literally in front of him. Alzheimer's is a fucked up disease, and I unfortunately doubt they'll ever be able to get rid of Alzheimer. I don't think that's really anything you can cure. They've been speaking about it for so long, but it would be awesome if they can cure it. That's definitely a thing that runs in our family. Yeah, cancer as well, believe it or not, my mom told me. It's something that runs in our family, man. Many people in my mom's family on the male side have passed away, not because of high health, but because of cancer. A lot of them have passed away in the 60s and 70s of age, which is relatively young, if I may say so. But Opa Hans, at this one time, when he had Alzheimer, he walked out the house, and he was naked. Apparently, she told me. He was walking around on the street in the neighborhood, and the neighbor had saw him at like 2 in the morning. I don't know what he was doing, maybe getting a drink, and phoned the police, went to my granny, and since that incident occurred, she had to put a gate in the middle of the hallway and have it locked every night so that he couldn't escape, because he would often not even sleep wander, but he would wake up in the middle of the night, that's what she told me, and he would walk on the streets, and it'd just be dangerous because he wouldn't know what he'd be doing. Yeah, Alzheimer's is a crazy thing. It really is, and she says as well, it was horrible living with him because of the fact he had Alzheimer. She loved him tremendously, and I know that woman loved him a lot. Oh man, the entire time when we were in South Africa, he was all reminiscing about Opa Hans. Opa Hans, his house, I was able to see during our vacation, me and my dad. Holy shit, did they have a crazy house. God damn, it's a mansion. Dude, I've said before, right? My grandfather was very successful. He was pretty much, to sum it up, at some point in his life, he was a multi-millionaire because of the technology that he had developed for security camera surveillances, right? He was the one that introduced camera surveillances in South Africa at the time, and like security stuff. It's a big business in South Africa, like private security and private that. Everywhere you go, armed security responses, private militia, this and that. It's a massive business, and yeah, if you got a lot of money, you want to protect your home as much as possible, right? And I think what really disappoints me the most is the fact I never really got to know any of these people. I was still very young. I lost all these people when I was young, and very fortunate enough to never lose anyone due to violence or anything, right? Because, a lot of people take that stuff for granted, but if you think about it, it's kind of bizarre to know and think that his life has been taken away due to violence. I'm not a violent type person, I don't like violence. I always try to stay away from people's business. If it ain't my concern, it is not my business whatsoever. The key to living is minding your own business, but even civilians can get caught in the crossfire, unfortunately. Yeah, if I think about it, man, like every single year, I go to his grave. Like every time I visit Rotterdam, I go to his grave, visit him. And yeah, even though it's a long time ago, yeah, it does definitely hurt, because you think at it like from a human perspective, from an emotional side of you. He was 22 at the time when it happened. He would have been the age of my brother. And I know for a fact that he would have had kids. Yes, I was very good with him, and it's quite weird maybe for some of you to see and understand this, but I didn't grow up with kids my age. When I was 5, 7, 10 years old, I was around people that were twice, 3 times my age. And they were very good people. They were never in a negative way, because my brother was the one who introduced me to them, and the other way around. I was always at people's house, always chilling. I mean, bear in mind, as a kid, they were never smoking or drinking when I was around. So that was definitely a thing that I really appreciate about them. And, since Stefan passed away, more than 10 years ago. One thing I have noticed, unfortunately, and I could see that at a young age, since he had passed away, the group just started to distance itself more. It's also part of growing up, right? You're not going to be kids every single day. You have to eventually grow up and start taking life serious. But pretty much that's it, man. Yeah, I think about him. I think about my granddaddy. I think about Opa Hans and the other grandfather, which is weird to say, but I don't think about him because I never even really knew him. I only saw him once ever in my lifetime. I think the most memorable moment I had with my grandfather from the UK, the one who passed away due to cancer. I don't even remember his name. I think it was something Peter or something. I have to ask my mom again. But the best memory I ever had with him was when we were in the shopping mall, and he let me get jelly beans from this like slot machines. This was back at the time when like the shit cost like £1. You got like a handful of jelly beans. No, it don't cost the same now. And I was like, ooh, man, how old was I? I probably would have been, yeah, no, I couldn't walk, so I was probably 3. No, I was able to walk, I just couldn't walk along. 3, 4 maybe? That was a real nice memory of him. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below. Have you ever lost someone? I mean, sure, I've also lost a lot of friends, but that's a part of growing up. You gotta search to get friends as well. And that's how the life goes. Just like getting a girlfriend. You cannot expect to get a girlfriend if you don't put any effort out to go meet someone. So thank you so much. Death ain't easy, by the way. No one ever said it was. You just gotta live with it and know how to live and deal with it and just keep going in life. Don't let this shit bother you.